How about now, guys? Anybody hear me now? Can you hear me now? It's good. Yes, yes, yes. Well, I'm sorry, guys. Give me 1 second here. Apologize for all that, and I apologize with that with the sound. Um, yeah, it'll be kind of different. I was hoping I had the mic set up, but for some reason, I don't know. When I record the video, it works with the microphone plugged in, but for some reason, when I go live on YouTube, I don't know why YouTube isn't having the sound go. So I apologize with that. And Pluto VR, thanks for saying it's okay. So hey, Mike, glad to see you guys. Michael, that's Denzel. Host 304, glad to have you. And listen, guys, hey, no name here. I apologize. Ta'amu, 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 ta'amu. I'm gonna try to keep saying that and try to remember his name. And I apologize. I'm going to try to work on some names with this because obviously you guys know that I'm terrible with pronunciations and trying to learn things. So hopefully, that helps. We'll try to keep things flowing here. Let's see here. All right, what up? What up, 38 Cal? Mike, just call him TA. Yeah. Thanks, man. Colin, I appreciate it. Or you guys, I love the fact that you guys give me grace on this issue and that with it. So anyways, let's go ahead and let's start off with the fact that we are a community of XFL, I don't know, fans. I guess that's what you would call us all. And, I just want to come out and say the support that you guys are giving me, and I love the support that you guys are giving everyone else out there in the community. It's kind of cool. I'm starting to see the XFL trickle out into different areas, and different things. And in that, it's funny. I'll come across people, and they'll ask me, "Hey, have you seen the XFL or something?" We'll get on sports and talking about that. So it's kind of cool. And yeah, it's kind of neat, especially talking with people. People like test the waters with you, and then they figure out that you're like okay with it. They kind of like let you know that it's kind of a cool thing, that they kind of like it. So it's kind of funny that it's like one of these things where people feel like they gotta like test the waters, whether or not you like the XFL. Or it's funny, it's still got that stigma about it, especially with people who haven't been keep it, haven't watched it, and that that kind of hokey, kind of wrestling hokey type of thing that sometimes professional wrestling gets with it. Granted, I'm a guy who likes professional wrestling, so don't give me any flack for that. I'm just saying that it's just funny how that comes off with some of the people. Let's see here. If St. Louis, Michael says, St. Louis gets home field in the playoffs, don't play them at home. Yeah, they've been juggernauts at home, but then again, they've been playing really, really well. The only loss they have is the one away loss, and that was to Houston. And I feel like they've gotten to be a better team since then. So, when all in all, I look at that, I like that. So, what I do want to start off with, and one of the things that is kind of funny. So I mentioned last night, some of you guys, mentioned that you'd like to hear more about me, like to see more kind of what's going on in my life, what I am, who I am outside of covering XFL information. So that was kind of cool to see, and I won't do too much of it, but I'll give you guys a little bit more on these kind of live streams and kind of give you a little bit more of that type of information with it. But so I mentioned that I'm going to be going to the Arnold Classic, and I'm actually going to be doing that this weekend. Now, the funny thing is that I mentioned that, I'll try to go ahead and I'll try to do some stuff when I'm at the expo and doing all that. Well, I got an email late last night that they literally canceled the whole Arnold Expo and all of that. So this weekend, the Arnold is pretty much canceled. So the only thing that they're doing is they're allowing competitors to come in, but they're not allowing people to actually spectate. So they're not allowing... But since I am competing on Sunday, we'll see what I can do. We were going to go down for the whole weekend, so we're going to go down, well, not the whole weekend, but we're going to go down Friday, be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But now pretty much what we're going to do is we're going to go to Columbus on Saturday night. We're going to stay the night. We're going to get up. We're going to do the pump and run, and then we're going to go ahead and pretty much leave because there's nothing else for us to do. I don't know if we can maybe sneak into one of the events. Maybe they got the lifting events or something that they got going on. But it's a big deal. They canceled it because of the coronavirus. And I don't know if you know anything about the Arnold Classic, but it's pretty much like the Super Bowl of bodybuilding. And Arnold has different places throughout the world and at different times of the year. But the one in the Columbus is the biggest one that they have. I mean, if you can think about this, it will normally bring in somewhere around 250,000 people into Columbus that weekend, and then you're going to have 18,000 people competing in that. That's craziness. Now, the other thing that is interesting, and it's really sad for the city here, is that they're actually going to be losing a lot of money. I mean, it looks to be normally that the city generates around $50 million in revenue to the city, that the city usually gets from tourists coming in and people coming in for the event that businesses make and stuff like that, and they're not going to be getting that this year from it. So they're going to be allowing spectators to come in, but what they're actually doing is they're going to 5 countries have been banned, and I don't remember exactly which countries they are from being able to come in, but they're when they're flying in from other countries, they're actually going to be, testing them at the airport, testing them for the coronavirus and that before they're actually going to let them, out of the airport and that with it. So it's going to be a big to-do this weekend. But yeah, it's going to be normally it's a crazy event. People are on top of people and it's just nuts and that, but this weekend, this time, it's going to be a lot lower key to where I might be able to pull some stuff off and maybe even do some live streams, and I'll definitely try to get a video in maybe if I can Saturday night and that, and just kind of touch base with my thoughts on the game, try to catch up on some of the XFL games while I'm down there in Columbus, and then I'll definitely catch up on stuff on Sunday afternoon and that, and then try to hit you guys up with a reactions video on Sunday night. Let's go back to the chat here. Let's see here, what do we got? Let's see here. I was in St. Louis for the game last weekend. If anyone lives close enough, go. It is a great time. That's what I've been hearing about all of the XFL games. People, hosts. Everybody's been saying that have been going, that they've had a fantastic time. I mean, even I've had a couple people tell me that have gone to LA games that they loved it. They had a great time and that with it. So yeah, it's been really, really neat. For people with that. And so let's see here. Yeah, Mike canceled. What do you do? And the strongman too. Yeah, it's like this was a big deal for them to cancel that. Like I said, it's literally like the Super Bowl for like bodybuilding. It's nuts there. But what I actually do is I go. So I'll be going with my dad, and it's kind of something that we kind of do. I don't know. We've been doing 6-7 years now that we do just kind of together and that with it. So we go and we compete in what's called the pump and run. So what you have is you have your bench press competition part, and then you have your 5K run. And so what happens is you start out with the bench, and you go and you bench your if you're under the age of 40, you bench your body weight. You get a 10% discount on your body weight. If you're over 40, over 50, I think it's 15%, and then I think over 60 you get 20%. I think that's how it is. But as you go up in years by 10, from 40, you get a discount on your body weight. But you get to bench your body weight, and for every rep that you put up, you get 30 seconds off of your 5K time. And so from that, then you run your 5K, and then you get your time deducted, and whoever has the lowest time, then wins. And they've got a men's division and a women's division, and that's it. And they only take about 1,000, entrants or competitors, however you want to look at that. So literally, it opens up in November, and I've got to go in and get my registration like November 1st, like at 12 a.m. at night, because if you wait, you got about a day or so. If you wait, it'll be closed though. So it's kind of a big deal. It's a big event. It's cool when you're there and you do the race. Arnie's out there, and he's got the megaphone, and he pulls the the typical Arnie phrases, and he kind of does that as lines. But yeah, he starts the race, and it's kind of cool. It's a neat thing, and with it. But yeah, we go down and we do that. But yeah, like I said, it's a neat thing, and it's kind of sad that it's not going to be that big of a deal this year. But who knows? Maybe with not, hopefully, that the event, maybe there might not be that many people there, that we can actually maybe get a good view of Arnie this year, and maybe even get up close enough in that with it, and there's enough people that maybe we can shake his hand and that. So it'd be kind of cool. But yeah, he usually comes out and does that with it. So that's kind of what I do. What else we got going on here? Said Hope, Louisiana gets an XFL. That's where I'm from. And let's see here. I hope Columbus gets an XFL team. 3-hour drive. Yeah, man. If you've been keeping up with the TV ratings with the XFL, the thing with it is that Columbus, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Ohio have been big markets for viewing for them. To where if they're looking to expand anytime soon, I would imagine Ohio is probably a place to look for them. And from the looks of it, the stadium where the Crew plays is a pretty nice stadium, and I think that would be a place where they could definitely get people there. Columbus and the surrounding suburbs. The people there, they turn out for their sports. And when you have good sports teams, they definitely get around them. But yeah, Columbus is a good sports city, and I would say that Ohio does rally around their teams, and that. So I think that would be a good area. Just about, I think getting a team in Ohio would be huge. I don't know outside of really Cleveland, Cincinnati, and Columbus that any other places would be able to really house an XFL team. But again, right now the XFL, and I've kind of alluded to this in a couple of my videos, and we'll just go ahead and we'll talk about XFL expansion. Right now the XFL is really focusing, if you ask me, on larger markets. They're focusing on markets where maybe they probably have done their market research. That's definitely what's going on here. But what they're doing is that they're focusing in on large markets where that they can eventually draw large crowds. And I'm not saying, that they might not end up going to a place like Birmingham, or some other city like that. But they're wanting the large. They want to be able to fill up a stadium, when they get down to it. And I've heard people, and I've had guys comment about the the AAF, and they should have adopted the AAF. They should have done this or that. Now, I will first off say, I did not like the names. I did not like the colors. I did not like really any of the way that the AAF did their stuff. When they came out with all their stuff and all their color schemes and all their stuff, it really dropped things for me. And then when they came out and said that they were going to be a minor league for the NFL, and that's what they wanted to be, and that's how they were portraying themselves, getting guys ready for the next level on that, it really dropped it again for me. And I think that they really hurt themselves because they pigeonholed themselves in this, in this box, to where once they've said that they were a minor league, they can't get out of that box. And I think that they really did themselves a disservice. And two, when you watch the games, granted they had some football, but it wasn't exciting like the XFL. The XFL has built their brand differently, and it shows. The way that it almost reminded me of like NFL Light and almost preseason-ish, the way that a lot of the AAF games were. Because it just really never felt like teams were really trying to win. It felt more like that they were like trying to do the good things, to really work on the things so that they could get back in the NFL, and not necessarily just trying to put good football out on the field. It was like they were trying to figure it out, like, to get good tape so that they could get back in the NFL. And you've heard my thoughts, and till you're gonna hear me say this over and over again, to where sometimes I don't necessarily know that getting back in the NFL is necessarily the best thing for some of these guys. And why do I say that? Listen, I think that if you can get a guy like PJ Walker, he can get back into the league and he can be a legit backup in the NFL. The guy's going to make millions, and that's going to be great. If you can get some of these guys on an active roster, they're going to be making millions if they're a quarterback. But a lot of these other guys, they're going to fall back and they're going to be like these practice squad guys and things of that nature. And really, when you look at it, a practice squad guy is going to be making somewhere roughly around $115,000 a year, give or take, depending upon what he's done, where he's been, and all of that. But that's just if he's on the practice squad. So if you've got a guy that's been on the practice squad, or a guy that's playing in the XFL, especially if he's a quarterback and he can make more than that, because we've been told that they have that the quarterbacks are getting paid more. How much more? We don't know. So it'll be interesting to see. And too, as the XFL gets better, right? Meaning it picks up traction and it's more notoriety and it's more lucrative for these companies to invest in, and that they're going to be able to pay their guys more, to where it's going to be more of an incentive type of a thing to look at. Now listen, should I go XFL or should I be buried on a roster? Is it better for me to be on an NFL roster buried, or is it better for me to be playing football? Or is it that I want to play football, so I'm going to go XFL route as opposed to sitting on a bench because I can make the same amount of money either way? So, I don't know, and we'll see how that goes. But when going back to this expansion thing, I really feel like the XFL is looking for markets where they can really go in there and they can create a fan base. Now, one of the things that is tough is you've got to create a fan base. Whereas, some of these college towns that are larger college towns that have like large D1 schools in them, they already have a built-in fan base that are already loyal to them, whether it be alumni, whether it be current students, people that do live around the area, and that, again, people that are tied to the university. When you're creating a new brand and a new team, you don't have anybody tied to your team. So as you're going with that, you've got to build that up. And a lot of times the bigger places to build that up are the larger the larger markets. Now, the one thing I will say that's harder in the Midwest is that the winter is harder in the Midwest, to where, especially in February, you're going to run into some harder games and some colder weather than you would some other places. I will say, so far, knock on wood, we've actually in DC and in New York gotten away with fairly good weather up in the north, to where here, give it a few more weeks and we'll be out of the clear. With that, to where the XFL should feel pretty blessed that they've been able to get good weather. But when I look at it, I think that they're going to try to. I think that Ohio makes sense. I think that Detroit makes sense. I think that, especially because Detroit and Indianapolis are both indoor, stadiums, and they're both good fun stadiums, and I think that those two areas would bode really well for an XFL team. That with it, I think you've got Minnesota that you could look at. But I see to where right now they're kind of like along the coast and down south. Not that I don't think that they'll add any more teams down south, but I really feel like that they're going to try to get another one in the area. Because right now all you got is St. Louis, so they might try to get another dome team in there, or they might try to pull something out there in Ohio. And if they did in Ohio, Columbus would be the area. Cleveland, the stadium in Cleveland is right on the water, and it is just frigid cold. And when you get that lakefront, it's bad. Cincinnati is there by the river. It's not as bad. But I would say the best place in Ohio probably would be Columbus if they were looking at it. And so, we'll see where we go. Let's go ahead and go to the chat, 'cause I'm sure I'm far behind on the chat. And hey, I appreciate all you guys watching tonight. Just so happened, I guess, the XFL Chalk Talk decided to live stream at the same time we did, even though we tried to change it up. But it is what it is. We'll still give love to those guys. All right, let's see here. I hit my body weight, 15 reps on the bench. Let's see here. I weigh 235. Dude, man, 38 cal. That's pretty good. You know, to do your body weight 15 reps at 235 should feel pretty good, man. That's pretty awesome. What's your 5K time? That's what I'd like to know. LA is a horrible market. Yeah, I mean, they've kind of even already come out and said that. So I don't know. I don't know if they got a deal to go in LA. I don't know what the whole LA thing was, but that is an interesting one. I'll give you that one. See here, Michael says, think it was a mistake putting some teams in the NFL stadium or baseball stadiums. Maybe just put them in soccer stadiums. I think that they'll utilize a lot more soccer stadiums in that way. But we'll see. It's season one. As these fan bases grow and stuff, they'll need those larger stadiums. Especially if they start to get to around 30, 40,000 people that are wanting to come. I mean, right now, if you figure, with as limited exposure as what they've been getting right now, and they're still averaging 17,000 people in these stadiums, they start to get some, exposure, and people start to see that it's actually really good football. You could start to see 30, 35,000 people, and then you're starting to look at, some of these other stadiums. See what else we got. The Dome was a good choice for the Battlehawks. I totally agree. Recumbrance, Tech USA, totally agree. Pluto VR, I think Seattle should open the upper deck. Yeah, they're really about there. We'll see if they do. It's funny, they're opening up the upper deck for Houston this week, but last week they didn't have it open for St. Louis. See, XFL needs to pay quarterbacks more than the NFL backups. That is going to be tough right now. I mean, if you're a second second string quarterback in the NFL and they're wanting you, you're making over $1 million, somewhere around $2 million. That's going to be tough for the XFL to pull anytime here soon. Now, the third stringers you're looking at probably somewhere around $1 million, and that with it, which is still going to be hard for the XFL to pull. I think if the XFL can get their feet under them and do some things like that, I think that they could probably start to pull some guys at like around 500 to 750,000 right there. But yeah, let's see here. What do we got here? Let's see here. Midas or Midas 0013. I think that they need some more marketing, put themselves out there a little more. Yeah, I mean, I think that they could, but for the most part, I think that the XFL has done a pretty decent job of really trying to put themselves out there, especially compared to the AAF. Ooh, that was bad. The AAF, it was hard to find information on them, what was going on. Like when they had their scrimmages, like I'm like trying, like I was just trying to find information on them, and it was hard to find things. I mean, I think used to be the AAF zone, but now he's the end zone. I think he was the only guy that I could find any information, and his stuff was still hearsay of people that were around there, to where none of it was really official that they were coming out with. So the XFL to be doing what they're doing, I think is pretty impressive. And really, they've been building it up from grassroots and not spending a whole lot of money and kind of doing their own kind of marketing thing, bringing in their own marketing people, which I think is smart. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I'll give you a little bit that they could do a little bit better job with marketing. But for what they are and where they're at, I think they're doing a good job. And remember, guys, this is a start-up league. I mean, I have to keep reiterating that to people. Yes, the TV ratings aren't the greatest, but the only things that are doing better are like the NBA, like top NBA games on that night, and that are on major networks, and NCAA men's games that are on major networks. That's it. I mean, outside of the big events going on, there really aren't anything that's getting more viewership. So you got to take your hats off to them for that. They're getting viewership. Now, I think these Sunday night games, we need them to get a little bit more competitive, because I think things have dropped off with DC, being terrible the past couple weeks. So we'll go from there. Let's look and see what else we got going on. You had to watch the game on some app. Yeah, and it showed the game from an overview angle. AF horrible in how to locate games. Yes, it was horrible how to locate games. Yes, and I remember watching the app. I remember like sometimes I had to watch it on like on people had Facebook streams, and so I found Facebook streams and I was watching them last year. It was not good. The one thing I will say that I did like is that when I went to go analyze games and like look at the gameplay, that I could see everything that was happening on the field from the angles that they were giving us. So I really liked that. But outside of that, it was really poor production, and you could tell, man, they were rubbing sticks together to try to get anything and everything they could, especially there towards the end. And if you feel bad for those guys, because I mean, if you remember, a lot of those guys, man, they were left with hotel bills, not getting checks, not getting paid, having to pay their own way home, trying to figure out how to get home. I mean, it was just a disaster, and it was a mess. So I could see, people having distrust in the XFL, and it's kind of funny how things have transpired with the XFL. So it started off, and I've been covering the XFL for, about six months, a little over 6 months, with content on YouTube, and then really just kind of on my own before that. And it's been interesting to see how things have changed. So at first was, well, will the XFL really succeed though? Will they stick around? Will they even make it through a first season like the AAF? And so the comparison was with the AAF when things first started off. And then, it's like, and that kind of held up through the first couple games, and they're just going to be another one of those minor league things, just kind of blow them off to the side, and that's kind of what happened. And then we started getting to training camp, and people started seeing the talent of they're like, well, they've got good talent, but they're going to need to get their stuff together if they're going to be able to succeed with this, and they're really going to see if they can put they're definitely getting some talent, but are they going to be able to put good talent on the field? And so it turned to kind of this good talent type of a thing, and whether or not they can, do good football on the field. And then, and also too, that's when you kind of got into that, well, they're not playing players enough, and they should be paying them more, and they're not making any money, and that was kind of the narrative then. And then as we got out of training camp and stuff, it started getting in, we got the rules and that, and then they kind of started talking, yeah, well, the XFL, they've got to do this hokey stuff, and it kind of got into that to where once the game started, then they're like, well, I guess this is all right football. The people that actually did try it and watch it, they were kind of shocked because they were getting good football, but then they were like, well, but it's not going to sustain, and they need attendance, and they're going to need TV ratings, and we saw this already with the AF, and it went down, but then every time there's another excuse, and it goes deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, to where we aren't where we were at the beginning, to where it used to be that it's going to bomb just like the AAF, no thing, to where now, people are like, hey, have you seen that, the XFL? What do you think? And when people are like, oh yeah, I saw a little bit, then people are like, oh yeah, it's actually, it's good football, and then they start talking with you about it. It's kind of funny. Like right now, there's just this, like I said, there's a little bit of stigma around the XFL still, from the old XFL, to where people that haven't seen it, they still have that kind of professional wrestling gimmick thing around it, to where that's starting to wear off, and people are starting to see that there's some good football there. And as it's slowly building, it's been kind of neat to see the evolution of not only like the naysayers, but but how the perception has been of the XFL. And it's been kind of funny because once one thing fails and the XFL kind of like proves that wrong, it's kind of like they come out with a new thing. It's been kind of funny. All right, let's go back here. In here, let's see here. I wonder how they gather ratings. Is it cable only? So toss that out the window. It's 2020. No, I will say. What the ratings actually do is, so it's still by the Nelson ratings. The Nelson ratings, if you are watching a legit stream on like a streaming service or on ESPN, the app, or ESPN.com, or if you're watching, like, for instance, like a AT&T Now, AT&T TV, anything like that that's a normal stream, all of that still gets recorded and gets recorded in the Nelson ratings. So if you're legitimately streaming like you would if you bought a streaming service through YouTube, through Hulu, all of that stuff's legit. The stuff that doesn't get counted is all the guys who've been streaming on YouTube and and all of their like their streams, that stuff's not getting counted. So the thousands of people that are watching on YouTube and watching the games on YouTube, people's live streams that they're putting out there, that's the stuff that doesn't get counted. So who knows how many more people are actually watching that way than that. But the Nelson ratings, they include everybody on cable, but they also do include the legit streaming services as well. Hopefully that clarifies some things for you. All right. Let's go ahead, and I apologize, guys. I'm trying to keep up. Let's see here. Who has your favorite offense to watch? Let's see here. Well, Elliot, my favorite offense to watch. I would have to say probably, Houston's probably been my favorite offense to watch. I just liking the way that they're just wide open. Nick Colley's a fun guy to watch. For some reason, I like those type of guys. Austin Proehl's another one that I really like with that. Nagel. I don't know. I've kind of I will say though, I love Tampa Bay's running game. When they just decided this past week, when they decided to commit to the run and pound the ball, watching Smith just carry guys for 7 yards was just fantastic to me. I loved it. Loved every minute of it with it. But, I would say, I like flashy things. So, Houston probably has been one of my more ones that I've liked the most. St. Louis has been pretty decent. I like the fact that they run the ball and the way that they do it. The ones I'm not a big fan of, L.A., not a big fan of, New York, not a big fan of. Then they're more traditional style offenses, those ones. So Pep Hamilton's offense was fun when it was working, but the past 2 weeks it's been terrible. I mean, it's been horrible to watch, to where I could say the last 2 weeks their offense I've hated. But so yeah, hopefully that gives you some stuff. Let's see here. Let's see here. Brody. The quarterbacks just need to view themselves as stars in the XFL rather than a backup in the NFL. That will convince them to stay, but that requires the XFL to be somewhat established. And they're establishing themselves. It's coming along. Let's see here, Mike. Same with the AAF. They only had one big network, CBS. The rest were worse than FS1. To have FS1 as the worst of the bunch speaks volumes for the job Oliver Luck and XFL did. Totally agree with you, Mike. Totally agree. Agree with both Mikes. Mike, the AF ruined the spring ball marketplace. So it's climbing upwards from this. Yeah, I totally agree with you there. Let's see here. Yo, bro, this is Ben. Finally am able to catch you live, brother. Hey, man. Aloha to you as well. Glad you could do it, man. Appreciate having you here. Let's see here. 38 Cal. Me and my girlfriend went to the San Diego Fleet versus Salt Lake Stallions, and it was pretty electric in person. We're planning on going to Wildcats versus the Dragons, and I'm sure that will be 10 times better. Dude, man, that'll be an excellent game. That should be super, super fun. Are you guys? I take it you guys are probably going to LA. I've heard, like I said, from a couple people that went to LA games, man, they had a fantastic time there. Had a great. It was a blast. When they went to the game. So, some of it's perception from the TV aspect of it. And the other thing is if your team comes out and bombs, that's going to be a big difference too. Let's see here. The XFL needs more exposure for fantasy. Nobody did any league types on the internet for the XFL, and I think it would add exposure. Yeah, people were coming out of the woodwork wanting traditional XFL fantasy, and nothing really came of it. And actually, I started doing a series that's showing like people how to do it, and a lot of people really like that and like the concepts I was coming up with for the fantasy football to do it. Just nobody really came through, with a product for it, which was kind of surprising. But I will say that the betting has been pretty decent for the XFL, to where these day leagues and stuff have done pretty well. I don't know a whole lot about. Granted, I understand how they work. That's not it. It's just that I've never really gotten into them, and I didn't really want to set up an account and do that, because I know they cost you money to do. And listen, I'm just a guy. I just like to just play around with it. I don't really want to get all into gambling and stuff like that. I like doing the traditional fantasy. I like trying to figure out your team and go as you go with it. And that's kind of my take with it. But I totally agree with you. It was a really big missed opportunity, and I think a lot of it is they had a hard time. These companies had a hard time taking a tried and true product and manipulating it, changing it to fit for the XFL. And I think that they probably felt that having leagues that were that small wasn't enough for them, and they just figured it was just easier just to go with the day leagues. So that's kind of where we're at with it. Yeah, from California, go Dragons! Hey, that's pretty awesome, man. Yeah, you should have a fun time rooting for your Dragons there against the Wildcats. You got a 38K. You got to tell me why you're a Dragons fan and not a Wildcats fan. Mike, I actually used your YouTube videos to start my own league, and I'm enjoying it, and it makes watching the games that much better. Yeah, that's what so the NFL, I used to be a huge guy in the NFL. I used to watch games when pretty much on Sunday, and I used to follow Monday Night Football, and a lot of it had to do because I was big into fantasy leagues. I used to have at least 2, possibly 3 fantasy leagues that I was in. Some of them, I paid to be in, whatever, $10, and had that with friends and people. The other ones I just did for free. And so, I did a lot of that with the NFL. And I will say, when the whole kneeling thing came out, and I don't want to get into the politics of it, I didn't like it, and it just kind of, it ran me off, the way that they handled it and the way that they did it. And so, I left the NFL there for a couple years. I mean, now college football, I've been a huge college football fan. I'll sit on the couch and watch college football all day long on Saturday. It's like my free pass that my wife gives me. She knows that, listen, football season, I get to watch sports, and then the rest of the year, I don't really watch a whole lot of sports. So I kind of get the free pass during football season, which is kind of cool. But yeah, it's pretty much switched to all college for me. Now, this year has been, I've watched the most. I've gotten back into it. I've been watching really just my Cowboys when they're on national TV, and that's really been about it. But that's been a lot more NFL than I've watched really the past 2 years. So I'm starting to kind of warm back up to it and that with it. So, but hey, Mike, I appreciate that you're using my stuff for your league, and it does help you totally to learn the guys. Like, I knew all the guys in the NFL and all that because of fantasy football. So, yeah, it's an easy way to do it. It doesn't help you with any of their names, but hey, I digress. You can't be all good at everything, right? Let's see here. Everybody else think that Bob Stoops will bail after this year? That is a good question, and I don't know. I don't know if he will or not. I think that he likes the gig. I just think that you're getting a guy who's into the game on the sidelines. Like, he's no longer kind of the ambassador for the league. He's now the head coach. And so seeing these guys on the sidelines, you're going to get their so serious face. And, that with, and I think that's what we're getting with Bob Stoops. And listen, when you got your quarterback throwing 3 interceptions every week and you're sitting at 2-2, that's kind of what you're seeing in that with it. I don't know if he'll bolt. There might be a good chance that he does bowl. I don't think so, though. I think he likes coaching, but I think he likes coaching in the limited amount of space where they're at. And I think that the XFL has done a really nice job to where they gave these teams, they weren't together that long, but they gave them enough time to at least build up a little bit of camaraderie before the season. I would hope, and I hope and expect to see them extend that this year, meaning because of things, have their draft a little earlier, get the teams together a little earlier, and hopefully they can build some consistency with players to where they've already got players that are already on teams, kind of like the NFL, that guys that are coming back, and I hope to see that. Whether or not we will is another story. But we'll see with the head coaches. The coaches are a little bit different than than really the players, because you're dealing with a lot of guys that this is their first shot as a head coaching job, or they've kind of been here, done that. This is kind of their side gig. So you got about half of the guys that are that, and Bob Stoops falls into that, and all of their big names fall into that. Hal Mummy, Glanville, Tressman. This is kind of where they're seeing themselves, where they want to be right now in their career. When you flip it, you got guys like Pep Hamilton. You got Winston Moss. You've got Hayes. These are guys who are trying to step up and take that next level and that next step. Now, whether or not that'll happen this year, where they get called up to another head coaching job, it'll be interesting to see. But I would say that I don't see it really being that much turnover in the head coaching position. But who knows? Could quite possibly be. That is a very good question, though. And this is a lot of stuff that I'm looking forward to talking about and going through in the offseason. Just like how the XFL is going to do the offseason. NFL picking up players, and then how are players going to come back? What team are they going to be on? How are they going to do the draft next year? How many players are when are they going to sign guys? How are they going to do that now that they've already been established and they've kind of already let the cat out of the bag? So they've got to figure out, put together a off season. And are they going to have like mini camps in the spring with guys that they still have? How are they going to do all that? So I'm really curious to see how all that happens. Mike G, are you going to cover college ball? I did a little bit last year. Last year I went through and did picks every week. And I got through the whole regular college football season. Now, I did not do the bowl season. And I'll just be honest with you, a lot of it is that my content that picked up was the XFL. And so I did a lot more of those type of videos, and my college stuff didn't do too well. But if you guys want me to do college, yeah, I'll definitely do college. And like I said, I'm already watching a ton of college ball, so it'll be something that we can definitely look at. And I'm definitely all for it, because I'm huge into college ball. Been watching for my Buckeyes, and right now Master Teague is down and not looking like he's going to be part of the spring game, which is actually kind of a good thing, because it gives these younger guys who haven't had any experience some time to really get into the system and that with it. Justin Fields is looking like a phenom. A lot of guys are saying right now that he's looking better than Trevor Lawrence, so definitely really good there. But yeah, I'm definitely a college guy. I can imagine, let's see here. Ben says, I can imagine that there would be a high turnover for players and coaches since no one signed a multi-year. That's what I'm worried about too, definitely. We're going to have to see that. See here, I'm a West Coast guy, but I'm always represented secondary teams. I'm a Clippers fan. Hate Lakers. Hey, I hate the Lakers with you, so we've got a common enemy there. I'm an Angels fan. Hate Dodgers. No secondary XFL team, so deciding Dragons since they still West Coast. Dude, I hear you, man. That's pretty cool. Let's see here. Minus two things I really enjoy are the extra point system, making teams earn their extra points, and the mic'd up. I can't wait to hear what else Winston Moss has to say. Good night, man. Yeah, I love the mic'd up. I'm there with you. And the funny thing about the extra points is so it's funny, it's deceptive because it's like when you look at it, it's like the XFL's not scoring that much. And it kind of reminds me of the AAF, where the AAF, they weren't scoring. But the XFL, they actually are scoring. The difference is they're not getting the extra points because it's harder to get, the try-afters as opposed to just kicking an extra point. So, they're getting less points than they would in the NFL, to where it's kind of skewing some of the scores, which is, to me, is kind of funny when I look at it, because you're like, I look at it and, they've scored 18 points, but they've really scored 3 touchdowns. But when you see it, it's like 18 points, so you're thinking, you're not thinking that it's really 3 touchdowns. So it is kind of a neat type of a thing there with it. Any injury update on Nelson's Spruce? I haven't heard anything. And listen, that's one of the reasons why I've been getting out my videos, my preview videos so late, is because they haven't been releasing stuff until late. Like when guys are going to be out until like Friday afternoon. And so I've been trying to get videos out earlier, but when I'm not getting the information, like especially who's going to be the starting quarterback, like that's a huge deal. Because I can tell you, if Landry Jones is going to play, or Philip Nelson is going to play, that's a huge deal between the two. And so, that for me has been a struggle. So I have not heard anything. I would imagine he'll probably be back. It didn't seem like it was a bad injury. I just think it was going to be something that was going to keep him out. Let's see here. Pluto says, just got an XFL roster on Madden 20. Yeah, you guys should check that out. Pretty cool. I think the guys have finally finished the mod. It's only for PC though, so if you don't have the game for PC, then unfortunately you're out of luck. But yeah, I think what is it? Is his name Dangops? I can't. Danger is kind of his like his persona. But yeah, he does a video on the mod that the guys are doing, and I retweeted the guys who are doing the mod. It's pretty cool. Let's see here, what else we got going on? Hey, we got 19 guys on right now. Come on, guys, let's go ahead and let's get this up to over 20. We had like 30 the last time. Did I watch AEW Revolution? I did not watch it on Saturday. I caught highlights and stuff. No, I didn't pay the money for it. It was funny. I was talking with a coworker today about it. Like, he was jacked about watching Dynamite tonight. I've got Dynamite recorded, so I'll watch it probably after we get off the stream here, and probably watch it fast forward through the parts. But supposedly it's supposed to be like crazy. They're supposed to have a lot of things going on. Well, obviously Moxley winning the. Sorry, spoiler. Moxley won the championship. Sorry, guys, if you guys hadn't seen it yet, but just looks like they're doing a great job with the AEW. If you are a wrestling fan and a true wrestling fan, and if you haven't watched any AEW, you should definitely go out there and watch that. I don't know, Ben, what were your thoughts on it? Let's see here. Copperface, the XFL needs to focus on younger athletic quarterbacks moving forward. You can see the trend heading that way. They're figuring that out. The XFL is a little bit more faster paced game, and I still think that they need to be able to throw the ball. They need to be mobile quarterbacks, or guys who know how to move in the pocket, who can throw the ball. Excuse me. I don't think that you're gonna be able to have a quarterback who's who's inaccurate and be able to cover that up, with their athleticism like they can in college. I don't think that that's gonna happen to where you can have a really athletic guy who can just fling the ball to an open wide receiver, a talented guy down the field. That's not gonna happen in the XFL. But you can see that the guys that are coming in, that are sitting behind the more traditional style quarterbacks, that are more mobile quarterbacks, they're starting to get their shots, which is kind of cool to me, and I think that's going to bode well for both the XFL and the NFL. The NFL's never been an innovative league; they've always stole from other places. Like right now, when you watch the offenses and watch the way that they're running, if you were to go back and look about 10 years back in college ball, that's what you would see in college ball in a lot of the the Power 5 schools and a lot of that. That's what they were running back then, and it's just evolving with that. If you ask me, the NFL is very much like an old boys club, to where they got what they want and they don't really try things. And I think that's why a lot of these guys are talented guys like PJ Walker have been buried because they don't fit the mold and they're not getting an opportunity to show their stuff out on the field. So that's kind of my 2 cents on that. See here, Battlehawks are the only game I've ever stayed for the entire game in my hometown. We hit all the bars at halftime. Well, hey, man. You're just going to have to hit the bars, I guess, a little later. Yeah, Deck Ops, yeah, you got it, man. Yeah, thanks, Midas. Out of all of the XFL teams, who is your favorite and who is your least favorite? Luke, I've been trying to stay kind of in the middle. I would say probably my least favorite would have to be either probably the Guardians or LA. Either one of those teams would probably be my least favorite. Do I have a favorite? No, not really. Do I have one that I'm leaning towards? Not necessarily. There really isn't a team that I'm rooting for. I'm just rooting for the XFL. A lot of it is because I'm waiting and hoping that we get an expansion team around my area so that I can go and I can root for them and I don't have to change my team or figure out okay, do I like them now because they're around me or do I like this team still? But who knows? A team might wear on me as we go. Players are. And it's kind of cool to see, some of these guys step up. I mentioned a couple of them. Like I said, I really like Holly. Smith, even though he's a Michigan guy, he's a Michigan man, he's been impressing me with that. So yeah, they're, Austin Parole, that guy, he's pretty cool. I like him. So some guys have been impressing me, but, overall I haven't picked a team. Let's see here. So hard to call him Moxley. I prefer Ambrose because I'm a big WWE guy. Hey, I won't hold anything against you, but I like the Moxley better than Ambrose. But I know he was Ambrose for a long time for a lot of you guys, and I apologize because literally I've only been watching and back into wrestling for probably about the last year, maybe a little over it. I mean, I kind of, 2010, 2011, somewhere around there, I kind of dropped off, kind of lost interest in it, and then I've been kind of coming back into the last year. So yeah, I get where you're coming from. Let's see here. Copper-faced King. A guy like JT Barrett would be a great fit for the XFL. He would be a great fit, and here's the thing that for me is tough with JT Barrett. He's one of those guys. I'm telling you, if you go online and you look at how much he makes, he's only making roughly around 115, probably to $150,000 because he gets those. He'll sign a contract and then he'll make money and then get cut and then sign to practice squad. So I would imagine he's probably making somewhere around $200,000 a year. He would be a perfect guy for this league if they could steal him away from the NFL. And that's what I'm saying. The NFL isn't letting guys like JT Barrett go. JT Barrett would be a star in the XFL. He would be another one of your PJ Walkers. He is fairly accurate. He has some trouble sometimes, but he has the smarts and he knows when to throw the ball and when not to throw the ball. And it's sad because he's never really ever gotten a chance to play because they like him so much there in St. Louis, and he's bounced around. I think he was in Seattle there for a little bit, but came back, and so you have guys like that. But my hat's off to him. I mean, he's been able to stay in the NFL and around the NFL as long as he has. I mean, if that's the case, that you're good. And if they could poach a guy like him, like offer him, $500,000 a year to come and play, that'd be fantastic. I'd love to see JT Barrett back on the field again. I'm totally there with you. Let's say, Hey, yo, Joypad Lad, glad to have you here. Did you announce the giveaway winner yet? No, I have not, and I apologize. I haven't been on it. I actually just had some crazy stuff happen. Really at the end of this weekend, and so I've literally been, since I posted the video on Sunday, and then last night I actually got back home. So I've been gone for a couple days, and out of town. Kind of it just kind of unfortunately came up, and had something family wise we had to take care of, my wife and I. So we had to go out of town for a couple days. So I haven't been able to do that. I'm hoping, and then the whole, I was getting ready for the Arnold, trying to get content out for the channel. Next week, it will be out next week. So once we get past this weekend with the XFL games, I will announce everything next week, and then we will go through and get that done next week. Yeah, I'm pretty excited, and thank you guys for all your support. I mean, it's been amazing. I mean, thinking about it, like, 1,250 subscribers this fast. I'm humbled. All that you guys do, you guys chatting, and we've got almost 30 people on this live stream now. So I bet that probably XFL Chalk Talk is probably over now, and you guys are heading over here, which is cool. I mean, I can stay up later than those guys, so we can get some of you West Coast guys on here, and that with it. Let's see here. But yeah, so next week I'll definitely be announcing that, and we'll try to get that out to the winner. Let's see here. The NFL should steal the good review system of the XFL for this. It's been fantastic. I love the whole thing with the refs. Oh my gosh. The transparency with it. I thought at first that I might not like it, but to actually hear the whole thought process as they go through, and why they're choosing to make the decisions they are, and them conversing back and forth, and you can, the one overruling the other, and then Dean Blandino coming out and saying, listen, we're going to need to work on that. That's fantastic to me. To do it like that and have the transparency has been just been great. And if the NFL can take that and run with it, I think it'll be great. Now, I will say what the XFL has done that has really helped themselves is if they've paid attention to the hard rules to call, and they've made them a lot easier for the refs to call, and they've Oliver Luck's discussed that, and I think that's made it nice for them too. It's made the game simpler and easier to call, and smoother game. They've done a fantastic job with that. That's one of the things that have been a bright point for me, is that I'm actually sitting there watching a game and not yelling at the refs. Now, granted, I don't have a dog in the fight, so I get that. But not having to yell at the refs for a bad call, it's just been fantastic. Breath of fresh air. Let's see here. What else we got? Will DC recover? I think they're going to shock us. I think that they're going to come out and they're going to pull another big upset, and not lose upset, but I think they're going to come out and they're going to get their third win, and we're not going to know what to do with them, because that's been the XFL. It seems like whenever we think that something's one way, we turn around and it's another. I mean, storylines have been amazing in the XFL, and I think that would be the best way to have another good storyline. So hey, let's go that route. Let's see here. I think they should target a guy at his level or slightly above to continue to get better in the future. And I think that they will. And when they get more money, they'll be able to do that. And speaking of Mr. Money, Manziel to the XFL ain't going to happen. He's not good enough to play in the league. And some people might not like that, but Trent Richardson, are not the level of competition that they want. They're not the guys that they want. And if you ask me, you watch these running backs that have been out there, I'd rather have Mr. Excitement. I'd rather have Jones and Ford and Kristen Michael, and I'd rather have Smith. I'd rather have Patrick. I'd rather have Victor. Let's see what else. Go down the line. I'd rather have Trey Williams. I'd rather have Farrow. I'd rather have also Gardner there. See who else am I missing? St. Louis, Houston. Butler's been amazing there. Cameron Artis-Payne, can't say enough about him. Even Dunbar has been great. Like I said, and Johnny Manziel, I don't even know if he'd make a roster. I mean, these guys, I'd rather have all of them over them. So, I mean, when they came out and said that they didn't want him, like, after seeing the football on the field, I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't want him either. So, I don't know. That's just my thoughts. All right. Yeah, I don't know about the whole Flowers to Dallas thing. I think if Dungy, yes, I watched Dungy at Syracuse, and Dino Favors in that. They were legit there with me. I mean, he was playing big boy ball, and I think he's a gunslinger, and I think that what's hurt him is him leaving and coming back to the team, leaving and coming back to the team. But Flowers is not a good fit there in Dallas. When you run the air raid, you need a guy that can command the ball, get the ball out quick, and throw and hit the guys like that. Flowers is a running quarterback, and not that you can't be a running quarterback in the air raid system. It's just not designed for that. It's designed for a guy who's more of a gunslinger who can get the ball out and fling the ball around the field. Landry Jones does well, but Landry Jones also throws interceptions, and I think that you're going to get some of that. The thing is Philip Nelson is not that type of a guy, and he doesn't take those chances, and it showed. He threw a bunch of times for a bunch of completions for a bunch of yards, and they lost. You're not going to win with the air raid that way, and so they need a guy like Dungy to come in with that. Sarah, I wonder how many people are betting on the XFL games. I am, and I love it. I think a lot of people are. Now, I haven't seen anything since week 2. And, I've been kind of looking around Twitter and some stuff. Now, Rangers King was keeping me up to tabs on the XFL, and he was on the betting and side of things, but I haven't seen anything from him in a couple weeks. And Max Levy, if you check him out on Twitter, the guy knows his stuff. Check him out. But yeah, I haven't really seen anything in a couple weeks, but from everything I've heard, that the betting was doing really, really well. I totally agree. Both of them dudes washed. Yeah, wasn't good, and yeah, totally agree there. Let's see what else we got. XFL needs live shows on their channels. XFL live stuff. Yeah, I like that. I like that. I really wanted to see them do some kind of stuff like that. Let's see here. He's a bad version. Philip Nelson's a bad version of Alex Smith. Totally. Let's see here. Dante Drake. You think about how to do in how doing today about Hawks. Okay. I think the XFL should do a JUCO draft. It'll be interesting to see. With all that stuff. I apologize, guys, if I'm missing your stuff as we're going down through in that with it. Let's see here. Come on, guys. Let's try to get up. Let's get over 30 people. See if we can get back up there. I know we were there for a second. Hey, well, 38 Cal. I appreciate it, man. Sure, if they wanted to hire me, I would love to have that. And it would be great. It would be fantastic, and that with it. But who knows? I think they're doing an all right job with what they've got going on. What 4 teams do you think are going to the XFL playoffs? Ooh, that's a tough one. As of right now, I think that the West has become wide open. I think that Houston will definitely be one of the teams. I think that St. Louis is going to be one of the teams. I think that those 2 teams are locked. Now, the other 2 teams for each one of the divisions or conferences, however you want to look, let's go ahead and let's start in the East. I think that right now, looking at it, I think that Tampa Bay's figured something out. DC right now, um, I think that Tampa Bay can possibly come back and take this. If I'm looking at it right now, I don't think that New York has enough firepower to get there. I think that Luis Perez is a good step in the right direction. I just don't think that they're going to get anywhere from that. I think that Corn Dog, if they can stay, if Trustman can keep his hands out of things and let the offensive coordinator do his thing like he did last week, I think that they're going to continue to win, and I think that they're going to get some consistency there. The thing that worries me is if Aaron Murray comes back, I think that just derails everything. DC, though, is the wild card. It's whether or not DC can get their heads out of their rear end and get back to actually playing football and real team football. They really need to be a team. They've got a lot of good talent on the team, but they just don't have a guy that can really take it over. And Cardell Jones, he needs to just settle down and get back into the system of things. But right now, as I'm looking at it, I would go Tampa Bay. Go out west. I think it hinges on whether or not Dallas can get a quarterback that can actually play for him. If Dallas can get a quarterback to actually play and play well to get that thing rolling, I think that Dallas is the second best in the West. If not, I think it widens and it opens things up. And I think it really falls on whether or not B.J. Daniels can handle that offense. B.J. Daniels can come in there and Dallas falls off and they don't get a good quarterback play. I think that Seattle can really sneak in there. L.A., I don't know. And Josh Johnson's a good quarterback. It just seems, though, that they just find ways to lose. And this past Sunday was a perfect example of that for me. All right, let's go ahead and let's get back to some of the stuff here. Yeah, Chris Mason, Dallas needs Ventura, JUCO transfer, Dre Fogey. I don't know him. Hey, Spencer, what's up, man? Jabril White, I love the fact that the players like Robinson Jr. Get another chance to showcase their talent on a professional scale. Yeah, he's going to be good, and some NFL teams definitely going to pick him up. Yeah, Chris, the Vipers, man, I was just flabbergasted by that last week. Let's see here. Jeremy, I'd like to see DC's run game get better. Take a little pressure off Cardell. Yeah, and Presley was out of the game last week, and Humphrey really didn't step it up. And Humphrey had, I don't know, I've just been I like Presley a little better, so who knows, what we'll see from DC. But they definitely need to, earlier on, put more emphasis on the run and less trying to just sling the ball. And I think part of that's Cardell. Cardell's getting impatient and not waiting and letting things develop to where, taking kind of things and building on them. I think that he's just wanting it way too early, way too much. But then again, the running game wasn't doing jack squat. But I think if they could focus on the running game, get some things established, and then turn into some play action stuff, and then allow Cardell to be the playmaker from there, I think that they'll do a lot better. So, all right. What do you think is the reason why Vince isn't utilizing the XFL's YouTube channel to put more live? Missing out on a big one. Yeah, I think the XFL is a big market, but I think it's not a money-making market for them. I think that, for guys like me, the YouTube's kind of where it's at, where I can kind of come in and, have fun with YouTube and that. That's not really where they're seeing this. They're putting content out there, a lot of content out there, but it's not a place that's really going to bring in enough money for them to justify having a show on there. Now, granted, they do have the live pregame with with Coachman, and I apologize, I forget her name, but I know Jonathan Coachman from back in the day of wrestling, so they have the pregame show with them. But yeah, I don't think that they're necessarily there yet, but I can definitely tell you that I know that Vince McMahon, with who he is, the way that he is, he's wanting to build the XFL into this big brand. And I talked earlier about he's wanting teams in big markets where they can have big markets. He's wanting to turn the XFL into a juggernaut. he's not wanting to be this little thing like what the AAF was and be, the little sister to the big brother NFL. That's not what he's wanting. That's not what, and that's why he will never use anything in the AAF because of the way the AAF portrayed themselves. He does not want any of that stigma on any of his product. And so he and Oliver Luck definitely have some things in place, in plan that they're wanting to do. It's just they understand that it's going to take time, and they're trying to build a big brand, and it's not going to happen overnight, and it's going to take some time. But I say season 5, you're going to start to see them kind of take that next level to where, you might start seeing, like guys that are really good that could be playing in the NFL but are deciding to play in the XFL, start to sign some of those guys. But we'll see. Like I said, I think that they're really trying to build a brand and really a universe to where they're going to have an XFL network at some point. They're just not there yet. And like I said, the YouTube thing, they're just not going to make enough money off of like YouTube ads and things like that to really invest that much into YouTube, whereas their money is spent better elsewhere right now. And that's just kind of how it is. Let's see here. Ben, the XFL will not try to do anything to improve its market past this point because currently has made all of the right moves as a startup company. Yeah, I mean, they've done all of the stuff. They were out there as what was it, Indeed's like top 50 startup companies. I mean, that's huge. I mean, they've been doing all the right stuff. I mean, we're literally sitting here nitpicking them for not hitting a home run every time. Oh, you hit a double. You should have hit a home run. But, it's like, but I scored, 3 runs on that one. Yeah, but it should have been a grand slam. I mean, that's kind of what we're doing here with this. Is Nelson Spruce and Carter coming back for LA? Because they do, LA could make a game of. Yeah, LA could definitely have a run if they can get those guys back in there and really get that offense back clicking. Now, granted, it was 1 week for Mr. Excitement. I think that he'll be definitely playing when he gets healthy, and it seems like I would imagine that both of them will probably be back this week. But then again, I don't know. Because why? Because the XFL really doesn't update us that much on their injuries. They give us a little tidbit here, and then we find out on Friday whether or not they're playing. And that's pretty much about it. Let's see. I like Dallas helmets. I wasn't a huge fan of their helmets, and then I saw them on the Twitter, their kind of their Twitter posts and stuff during the training camp, and man, does that thing sparkle in the sun. And I agree with you. I like it a lot after I saw that. Oh yeah, the Hawks. I think that the Hawks could take the division easily. I like how they don't show Tressman on the sideline. Yeah, I don't know. He's probably because he's not that entertaining and stuff like that. But we'll see. All right, we got 24 guys on. So I'm gonna go ahead and let's. I'll take a few more guys, and then we'll call it quits for the night. How about that? Yeah, I will say Tressman quitting calling plays has done a good thing for them. And hopefully they won't be doing this quarterback carousel and switching personnel in and out with that. They'll try to stay consistent. All right. See here, Jeremy says, what are your thoughts on LA pulling the 2 backup cornerbacks that balled in week 3 for the game against Guardians? I think it could have made a difference, and they might go back to them. You might see them back in this game this week. It was one thing that they kind of mentioned a couple times, but not a whole lot. Let's see here. Are you aware of how many streams go down on YouTube? LOL, man, I saw 50,000 in one stream. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I talked about it earlier, and I don't know if you were on when I was talking about like, because they were asking how the ratings go, and I was talking about how, like, legit streams get part of that Nelson rating, which is what what we talk about, what I talk about in the videos. So, like, if you have a legit subscription and you're watching on a stream, whether it be on ESPN app, on ESPN.com, or whether it be like AT&T, like I've got AT&T now, that's what I watch things on, or YouTube TV, or if you have Hulu, or some people have Sling, whatever. If you have those get counted into the Nelson ratings. So that stuff does get counted. But like you just said though, like all of these guys streaming on YouTube and 50,000 views, 100,000 views, none of that stuff gets counted. So all of that type of stuff is not counted in these. So who knows how many people are actually watching the XFL. So yeah, you're totally right there. Let's see here. What a catastrophe that play calling was. Yeah, I'm totally there with you. Mason, I'm with you. I'm a Cornelius guy. But hey, listen, if you've been watching my videos, you know I'm not huge on Aaron Murray. He might show something up, but I really feel like they're doing that team a disservice if they pull Cornelius to put Aaron Murray back in. And I actually hope they do keep Cornelius, because when I ranked the quarterbacks at the beginning of the season, I put Cornelius up there because I thought that he could take the starting job from Aaron Murray, so I definitely would love to have him do that. Sierra, do you think Luis Perez is the real deal? Did he just get lucky and play a bad defense, or can he handle it over him? Perez, I haven't seen enough game of him, but I did watch him quite a bit when he played for Birmingham Iron. In the right system, he's a legit good guy to have. I think that he throws a really nice ball. I think that the Guardians' offense is a really good fit for him. Do I think that he's legit and going to run this league? No. Do I think that he's going to make a lot of mistakes and put his team in bad position? No. Do I think that he's going to win the game for a team? He could here and there. I just think that he's going to be more of a mid-tier quarterback, maybe a higher mid-tier quarterback, but I don't think he's going to be a star in the league. I think that the ESPN app streams count because you're logged in as your provider. I mean, when I go to ESPN and I'm streaming on the app, it's as I'm watching AT&T now. So that information, I think, gets pulled into the Nelson ratings, if I'm not mistaken. Next year, the XFL should lower ticket prices and fill stadiums. They might, but I mean, shoot, when you're filling the lower bowl and selling tickets for $95 in St. Louis, I mean, I think that they're doing okay. That's the point I was trying to make about the XFL YouTube community. That just justifies the show, because we don't know exactly how many are actually watching on the XFL on YouTube. Forward thinking. Totally agree with you there. I like Flowers, but Cornelius has been starting and has been a rhythm with the offense. I would enjoy seeing him play somewhere, though. Yeah, I mean, it would be fun to see a guy like Flowers, especially because he didn't really do anything that bad that would warrant for me to not put him in. But that's kind of, my 2 cents and my thoughts there with it. All right, guys, I'm going to take 3 more, and then we're going to call it quits for the night. And listen, I appreciate every one of you guys getting on here and doing all that stuff. And we'll definitely try to do more. And, who knows, I'll do some stuff special over the weekend because I'll be down in Columbus and I won't be here at home. So I'll try to do some maybe non-traditional stuff if some of you guys are interested in it. All right, let's go. Last 3. What are your picks for this weekend? Oh, I'm going to take another one because my picks for this weekend are going to come out here in another day. So hold tight. You'll get them here. Depending upon how I can get them uploaded, it'll either be Thursday night or it'll either be, you'll either get them Friday. So hold tight on that one. I'll take 3 other ones because I'm taking a pass on that one. Mike says, good night, everyone. Thanks for the live stream. You're doing a good job. Tyler, keep up the great work and can't wait to see future content. Thanks, Mike. Have a good night, man. Tampa Bay has to be run first, big line, big backs. Hey, that's the way it is. That's the way they're going to win, and their offensive coordinator did that this week, and I think they need to continue to do that. If they continue to do that, they're going to be a hard win for anybody, because when you got a guy who can truck for 7 yards, it's easy. You have a good one, Tyler. Time to make dinner. All right, guys. I think it's time to have a good night. So thank you all for being on the stream, and we're gonna go down, and I appreciate it. And you guys have a good night. Take care. Bye.